People often assume that ERP solutions are essentially the same. However, there are fundamental differences between SAP and Microsoft. And what I'm going to do is just talk about those differences and then talk about the pros and cons. So if I start with Microsoft, the background and heritage of Microsoft is essentially a development platform. They go to market via partners who develop industry solutions and localized solutions. And the implementation methodology is based on an agile application development implementation methodology going through requirements, design and build. If you look at SAP S/4HANA, SAP have used their 50 years of ERP experience to develop scalable and modular industry and localized solutions based on a best practices model. Those best practices are enabled through the configuration options you choose, and the implementation methodology is focused on adopting those best practices. If you need to or want to bespoke the solution, then you do so outside of the core solution itself using tools such as the SAP Business Technology Platform. So the partner's role with SAP implementations is to bring that industry and localized knowledge to support companies moving to the best practices and helping them with a focus on digital transformation. So if I generalize the pros and the cons of each of the approaches and solutions, Microsoft, the biggest advantage from that perspective is that no matter what your requirements are, the answer is yes. The other advantage is that Microsoft invests less in developing the solution themselves, and therefore the licensing costs are typically lower. However, the disadvantage is that ultimately you end up with a bespoke solution. And the reason a bespoke solution is a disadvantage is that quite often you risk missing the opportunity to realize the value of implementing an ERP solution or maximizing the value of implementing a solution. And the cost of implementation and maintaining the solution can quite often be higher. As the industry solutions and localized solutions are developed by partners, there's also a risk that you get trapped with a specific partner, or if your requirements are complex, you may actually need to work with multiple partners, and that can cause risk to your project. There are three main advantages of implementing SAP S/4HANA. One is the adoption of the best practices, which releases business value and process improvement. Secondly is by developing any bespoke code outside of the core solutions, it enables you to take the innovations and the improvements that SAP are investing in, and it makes the adoption of those improvements much easier. The third thing is the scalability of the solution. So often customers are worried that SAP is for large organizations. However, the scalability and the modular nature of the licenses means that you can take as much or as little as you require. So if you're, for example, £100 million revenue today, you may want to start with the base functionality, and then as you grow, you would then add additional functionality to meet your needs. The downside of the SAP approach is that by adopting the best practices, you're essentially going through a business transformation program. And this requires very strong project sponsorship, it requires business change, and it requires business ownership. It's essentially a business project and not an IT project. However, if you do have that strong sponsorship, you can adopt those changes quickly and efficiently and effectively. So as a very generalized high-level overview of the pros and cons, the Microsoft licenses costs are generally lower, the implementation and ongoing maintenance costs are typically higher. And if you've got very unique and bespoke requirements, very specific requirements, then Microsoft is the best solution for you. So SAP invest heavily in the development of their solutions, and therefore the licenses costs tend to be higher. However, the implementation costs and the ongoing maintenance costs are lower. If you're looking to adopt best practices and drive significant business improvement, then SAP is your best option.